Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Rob is back again.
So excited to be back again and again.
Still single?
I am still single. I do have my heart set on someone, but I am single.
What?
Yes. What?
Oh,
Ask me more information. I will not tell you.
I'll be fair. I will not. I won't grill you on this for her sake. Jeez.
She's like, poor girl.
She's 18, isn't she?
No, absolutely not.
So I'm going to ask you some questions that my listeners sent in. Why are you single?
Oh, okay. So not in general. This is you.
Why are you single?
Why are you? I think you're pointing to the camera guy. Why am I single? Well, as you found out in the last show, if you heard the last show, I do have certain pet peeves, and the older I got, the more those tended to bother me. My friend's mom years ago said to her son, who was in between relationships and enjoying the single life, says, be careful of being single and enjoying yourself like you are too much, because you're going to get set in your ways and it's going to be harder for you to get along with people. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And so I started to notice that the longer that I was single and the more space I had in between relationships, I started to become less forgiving for things that bothered me, because I was starting to enjoy what I like to enjoy so much. I think part of that is, one of the reasons why I'm single is because I know what I like a lot more now. And when things bother me, I tend to say, okay, you know what? I don't want to be in this situation. It also is very helpful, actually, unhelpful for my single life, but in general for my happiness, I have a lot of friends, a lot of really good friends that are great people that I love being around, that, their significant other likes being around me. I like being around them. So just a solid group of friends, and I'm happy, and so I'm less lonely as I would be had I not had good connections and things like that. And so I'm not saying that, that's a bad thing, just that, a little bit of loneliness sometimes gives motivation to help find someone. But at the same time, I've got friends, I'm happy. I'm not as, I'm not as willing to compromise some things that bother me. You kind of put all those in a bowl and stir it, and you end up with a single guy.
Yep, that makes sense.
I will say also, I do run my own business. My mom's a little bit older, so I help during the years, I've had to kind of help her through some stuff. And there's been a handful of relationships where business was hot and heavy, family life was hot and heavy. And, you mix those two in, then it's hard to go through dating and getting to know somebody and really giving that person, the attention they deserve, and giving the relationship a chance to grow when you have kind of those things as being hot. Because if business is tough, you know how it is. Your mindset's there, your heart's there, and then you have a family, you have some, kind of family life issues going on. Those add up to not the best recipe to start dating. And so there was a time frame that happened. And I think that also, I started to be more happy with what I liked. I started to entrench in the things that I liked. And then when I started getting back in the dating life, it started to become a little more challenging.
Why Rob is single. Okay. Okay. What's up with the pullback? When you pursue a woman and you set the tone and pace, and then, bam, you pull back. Just say if you were to do that, what would be some of the reasons?
Can you give me more example? Like, is there an example that you went through that you saw that from a guy?
Well, for example,
I tend to not.
You
pull
don't.
Back.
Oh, you don't do that. You don't do that. How about some male? Male friends that do that. Like they'll pursue a woman, and then all of a sudden it's like the less texts, less phone calls, and then like, what's going on?
So the top surface level, not getting too deep, but it's just very common is the guy is into you more physically, and is pushing, and maybe they haven't had some intimacy for a while. They want to get laid. They haven't done this for whatever that may be, and then that gets cashed in essentially, And then all of a sudden, now that that's there, they're like, wait, I'm as not into this person as I thought. Or they knew that, and that's what they were going after, period. So they're after a physical deal, they get it, and then they start pulling back. If you were to ask them before they got the intimacy got kind of to the peak, right? Before they, the first time or the second or third time, they would be, no, I genuinely they would believe it because they want something physically so bad because they're missing that part. Maybe it's been a while, or maybe they just, they're just a horn dog, right? So they want it, but then they get it and they're like, I'm going to pull back because that was really all I wanted. I got it, and that's that. So that's a very common reason of a pullback, is because of things like that.
Okay. Someone did ask specifically, just say you're online dating. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she's online dating and she met someone online and they get along great. And she can tell he really likes me. And she notices that he's still on the app and he is changing photos and updating his app. So she asked, what does that, but he doesn't act any differently towards her. So what does that mean?
I'm not sure if I'm the best person to ask that, because I'm kind of in her book. If I meet someone I really like, when I was doing the online app stuff, if I met someone I like, I'm not, I don't like, this is someone I like. I want to get to know that person better. I'm not really going to do that stuff. And I see the female doing that too. And I'm like, well, I guess I haven't really made that good of an impression on her. Right. So I'm the same way with her in that sense, is where I would be like a little taken aback. And to me, that's a red flag. Is that a deal breaker? Not necessarily, because, I've also been in the same sense where I actually really like somebody, and, you start to feel like, I don't want to put too much focus in this because I don't want my heart to get broken. So I'm going to continue to do what I do until things develop. So there's also that part of it. But it is a red flag. A red flag doesn't mean it's a deal breaker. It's off. This guy's horrible, or this girl's horrible. That is just something to be aware of, and try not to let that completely affect your attitude towards that person. But if you guys have been dating for a while, then that might be time to have a conversation. Like, hey, we've been hanging out for 2-3 months. I really like you, whatnot, or he should be bringing it up as well. Move past it. It just really depends on what you want, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like, who knows why that person is updating the pictures? I would take it as they might like you, but they're not devoted to you. Mm-hmm. They're not committed, at least not yet, but you haven't had that conversation. So I agree with you. If 2 months in, or actually when you want to, I think it's just fair to ask, because if in a non-desperate tone, just in a matter-of-fact tone, like, hey, are you even looking for something serious, right? Because I feel like if he can get scared off, then...
Right. And those are natural conversations. That's the problem with technology, right? You start seeing what other people do. But if you didn't see what other people did, would they still be doing that stuff? You wouldn't know. Yeah. But really the point is at some point you need to have that conversation. And it's sometimes it's hard at first, right? Because you really like each other. And again, like, you're connecting in the first 2 or 3 or 4 times. That doesn't necessarily, as you start breaking through the surface, you start really finding out how well you connect. But like for me, it's kind of like, how do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? If I really like a person and I think there's potential there, how do I want to show up to that? Do I want to show up to that by being distracted with other opportunities? How do I want to show up? Now, how they show up is up to them, but how do I want to show up? If you're like really into someone and they're kind of into you, that they could feel that. Sometimes they just kind of push back, right? So it's okay to really like someone, but if you're coming across too strong and they need a little more time to come across, enjoy your time with them. And when you feel like it's appropriate, not too early, not too late, when you feel like it's appropriate, push a little bit of that conversation.
How would a woman ask you, if you wanted to take the relationship deeper, what is a good way to ask without it feeling like it's too much?
Good question. Maybe more in the sense of, hey, I really enjoy our time together. Like telling that person how you feel about them, saying, hey, this is how I feel about you, as opposed to saying, what are you gonna do about this? Like, what do you want to do about this? Like this is, this is kind of where I feel like we're going. What's happening with us? Let's make some decisions. Like that's too much. But and again, this has to do with maturity in that sense, right? So if you're giving someone, hey, this is how I feel about you. I'm really like where things are going. I want to spend more time with you. Hopefully you feel the same way. How do you feel about that? As opposed to kind of jumping in and saying, I think, we should let's get off this platform and this and that. But, it depends on the dynamic, right? Some people are so just connected and fun and have more of a fun dynamic, and then being like, hey, you want to get off this app with me? Like, do you want to, let's cut this app, let's stay together. But again, it depends on that. So I just think like one of the easier ways is just to be more of, hey, I'm really enjoying the time with you. I like spending time with you. I like when we, do stuff, would love to do more with you. Just, giving it out there. And if they don't make that connection, and you might have to spell it out for them, then you might have to do that, or you might need to pull back. Yeah, exactly.
See ya.
Yeah. Again, it just really depends on the situation. And listen, some guys sometimes need an in-your-face thing, and
Yep.
you just have to really feel that person out, and make an executive decision.
But do you like it when women make executive decisions?
I don't like it. I wouldn't personally, if I'm, dating someone and it was that kind of thing, and it was like, hey, I noticed that you still log into that site kind of thing. I wouldn't like to be called out on that necessarily, as much as just that person telling me like, hey, I'm enjoying my time with you. I'd like to take things a little further type of thing would be a lot better than being called out on something for me,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember you did one of your exes. You had mentioned you really liked how she asked to define the relationship. You said she said something like, I think you were going to meet her parents or something in a casual setting. And she asked, like, how do you want me to introduce you? Do you remember that?
Vaguely remember.
Oh my gosh.
I vaguely remember us talking about that.
But
Yeah.
I remember
You
that.
remember us talking about that?
Like,
Yeah.
because I remember.
No, I remember the situation. I just don't remember talking with you about that. Was that on one of the shows?
No, but I remember
okay.
you mentioned it to me, and I thought that was I thought that she was fitting for you, that she asked in a way that was really like low pressure, like like how do you want
right?
how do you want me to introduce
exactly.
you? Like,
yeah. So when she asked that, it was a very nice way of saying like, exactly how are we? Like how do you feel we are?
yeah,
Yeah. That's a cool way to do it.
That worked well with
It worked
you
well
for
yeah.
that month or however long.
For that time
A few months.
frame. Yeah. No, it was a way of, hey, we're kind of moving on. We're moving forward a little bit, and it was still early in the relationship. So it wasn't like we're 6 months, 8, 9 months into it. This was like around the 2-3 month mark. That doesn't mean go out of your way, be like, oh, hey, we're going to have dinner with my mom next week. Is that cool? Like, yeah, that's true. By the way, how do you want me to introduce you? Like, it seems a little manipulative, but yeah, that's a good organic way to do it if the situation comes up. Sure.
It sounds like tone is very important.
Tone is, yeah, as you know, from the last one, I have sensitivity ear-wise. So, in my love languages, words, affirmations, things like that do hit me a certain way. So tone, yeah.
I did. My neighbor Jake, he told me this because I was joking, like whenever I say babe to Pete, he looks like he's a little scared, and he said tone. It's all
tone, absolutely. Yeah.
Babe.
Yeah.
Babe.
Yeah, you get pretty aggressive with Pete sometimes. Yes.
All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh, too bad. I was just going to tell you something very important.
Shucks.
Next time.
You could tell me later at game night.
Yeah, game night.
Right.
For the record, Christine is very aggressive. She does not like it if I win at game night.
I'm competitive.
She's very competitive.
But I will say you're very smart. You're very like with games that are like chess and require thinking a strategy. You are very good. You're very smart.
I love those fun stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming back on.
Yeah, love to come back in another time. Assuming your crew, your people want me back.
Yeah.
After the last few things I said.
Yeah, and if anyone has any other questions that you want me to ask Rob for future episodes, please DM me. My Instagram's @Chang&Co. And Rob, what's your Instagram?
It's ROBNHood00. Robin Hood 00 without the I.
Please
just don't put the I in there. So
please go harass him.
yes, please harass me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.